Welcome everyone to another video, and in this video we are going to be featuring some battles that I did in the Master League using a Ludicolo's team. Really great trainer, fantastic trainer, especially in Master League. He also does some coaching, so check him out on Twitter and on Twitch. Anyways, the team consists of Ho-Oh, Dialga, and Xerneas. I built my Xerneas. My Xerneas is a 15, 14, 15 Xerneas, so not a 100% one. But we're going to go ahead and get started with these battles. Overall, I went 13 to 12, so not fantastic, but I'm really high elo at this point in the season, so all my battles were against really good trainers. So in the Ho-Oh mirror, it's normally you just go to 100 energy here, and then I never, well, not I never bait. Usually I don't bait in this situation because one Brave Bird doesn't KO. And a lot of times they Sacred Fire. But this person does go for the Brave Bird and actually lose CMP. You actually want to lose CMP on the first one if they do go straight Brave Bird because they end up not shielding. I'm going to instant swap into Xerneas. Xerneas is the safe swap. And they come into their own Xerneas. They had Rayquaza as a counter swap. So the reason why they stayed in was, well, at least they want to farm down with Rayquaza afterwards, but I switched right away, and I'm in a very good spot right now. I need 2 Moonblast to KO. I guess a Moonblast in a close combat is enough. The close combat does about 24%. So you can see, and the Moonblast does about 50. So you can see we're both in close combat range. I'm going to let this go. And then I'm going to come into Ho-Oh. And I'm totally fine. I'm going to shield this here. I should have just thrown the Brave Bird right away. But I did not. And they get an extra Dragon Tail in. But I'm still in a very, very comfortable position right now. Again, if you want to see all my battles, they're on twitch.tv/KingIV. I did run into quite a bit of queue times later on. But this is a pretty okay situation for me. I'm going to let this go. I want to just make sure that I'm low enough that the Xerneas can't farm too much. So I'm going to throw the Iron Head, which is going to be enough to take them out, even though I am double debuffed at this stage. I should have did one Dragon Breath then through the move, but this is quite alright. And there's not too much that Xerneas is going to be able to do. One Incinerate would be able to take out the Xerneas, and they go for the move, hoping that I no shield, but I am going to shield and take out the Xerneas. So obviously, favorable lead situation there, where I was able to save the Ho-Oh, and then they didn't have a direct answer to Xerneas once the Ho-Oh was gone. All right, as you can see, lots of queue times here, so I'm just going to fast forward. All right, we're going to have Ho-Oh into Zacian. I kind of misplayed this here. I should have just thrown the move right here. So they have the Wild Charge, and they're one off the second Wild Charge, so I should have just thrown right away. But I misplayed here. I should just thrown right away. And then no shielded afterwards. That's quite all right. I am going to wait for the Snarl and then throw the Sacred Fire. And then I'm going to say swap into Xerneas right away. And they come into Mewtwo, which is, Mewtwo is definitely very problematic for me. And they get to double Side Strike. So I let this go. I figured it's going to be a Dialga in the back. But there's not really too much I can do at this stage. I should have thrown after 6 Geomancies. And there's no point in me throwing here because they've doubled up on their Side Strike. And actually, are they doubled? No, they're probably not a double. But one doesn't KO anyways. And this is a problematic situation for me. They're just going to keep throwing Side Strikes at my Dialga. And then they're going to come into their own Dialga, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make the move. And plus, their Mewtwo is going to be a little bit too healthy. I already know this is Side Strike, but they're going to come straight into their Dialga, and I'm just going to be just short of the Meteor Mash and get fainted here. But it doesn't really matter. Even if I threw the Iron Head and got the shield, then I would have been too low. The Mewtwo would just Psycho Cut me down. So very well played by my opponent there. Again, if it's a Wild Charge one, I should just throw the Sacred Fire, and then sack it, and then come in with Xerneas afterwards. Or they might no shield, then say switch there, and then even shields. Maybe there's some play there. All right. Ho-Oh into Xerneas is a very good lead. Unless Xerneas is carrying Thunder, there's nothing that Xerneas can do. And they come into Ho-Oh. Very tricky situation here because I don't have a good answer to a Ho Say Switch. And I'm going to throw the Sacred Fire, hoping that they shield, thinking that I'm going to just Brave Bird and bail and actually get the attack fall, which is really nice for me. I'm going to let this go since they have had their attack fallen. And they throw the Sacred Fire. And I'm going to do one more, then throw the Brave Bird. And then I'm going to switch to Dialga. I'm going to let this go. It does about half. Unfortunately, I get attack fault. And let's see what they decide to come in with. They come in with Xerneas. I'm going to throw right before the close combat. I'm still in a pretty good situation. And it doesn't do that much, and they come into their own Dialga. I need to make it, well, it doesn't really matter if I make this Iron Head or not, because they're going to be in close combat range, and I'm in a pretty decent spot. And yeah, this is pretty okay for me. I have the alignment like Ho-Oh Xerneas is such a good situation here. I do double up here. I will let this go. I could have thrown beforehand, but this is quite alright. Doesn't KO, and then I'm gonna immediately swap into a Ho-Oh. And there's not too much this Xerneas can do, unless they have Thunder. Obviously, if they have Thunder, it's problematic for me. But they throw the Moonblast. Survive it pretty easily. Gonna make it to a Sacred Fire. And I get the attack fall, and the opponent realizes they can't Geomancy me down. I do have a close combat, and they're definitely in close combat range. So even if they could farm me down, I still have the shield. So same team, just like a different order. In that case, like me getting the bait, getting the attack fall, calling the Sacred Fire, like all of it worked out pretty well for me in that situation. All right, we have Ho-Oh into Mewtwo. Very tricky lead to deal with. I let this go, and then I could Sacred Fire here, but there's like 2 times they've already caught on me, so I just throw the Brave Bird because they can't psycho me down even with the drop defense. And if they catch in their own Ho-Oh, then I'm still okay. I will shield, and then I throw the Brave Bird again in case they catch here. And then what do I do here? I switch to Xerneas. Save swap again. They come into Snarl, Zacian. I will throw the Moonblast, hoping for the debuff. And I get the debuff, which is fantastic for me. I will let this go. Zacian does win CMP over Xerneas. And you can see the play rough does less than half, which was pretty good for me. And they try to catch onto their Excadrill, which was a nice catch attempt. I do have two close combats. Close combat doesn't KO, but I will throw just to make sure I get the move off, and I don't have to shield. And then they build up some energy, and then I make this. Really, I guess they were trying to double up there. Anyways, I get the draw run and the Sacred Fire KOs, and I'm able to make it to the Brave Bird. I could have had the Sacred Fire too, but I'm able to take them out. So that worked out really nicely for me. Yeah, it worked out very nicely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and show off the final set here. As you can see, I'm at 26, 29. I can see the queue times are quite long, and Rhyperior is definitely one of the core breakers here. And I actually think I faced this person already, so they don't. I completely forget what their team was. Actually, I think I actually won the first time. I can't remember. And as I throw the Sacred Fire, hoping for the debuff, I will shield. They throw the Rock Wrecker, they don't bait. And they come into, oh yeah, no, I get Focus Blast here. I don't know, I faced so many Focus Blast Mewtwo's. And I guess they knew I wasn't going to shield because the Rhyperior was going to come in. Obviously, in hindsight, if I knew that they had Focus Blast, then I would And unfortunately, they're going to be able to come into Kyogre and basically farm me down. Yes, and they don't wait the clock here, which is definitely the correct play. And I go for the Brave Bird, and unfortunately, I'm still not able to make it out. Even though they did lose a turn, so they actually didn't get the waterfall through. Yeah, this is GG for me. They're just gonna be able to take me out. And again, Kyogre is also very tough to deal with. Through the close combat, they know shield. I just go for the Moonblast just to see how much it does. I think it does like about half, maybe just under half. So I wouldn't have KO'd anyways. So I guess if I had Thunder there, that's the reason why they would shield. Plus they had a shield, right? So why wouldn't they use it? All right, we pick up a very good lead. Ho-Oh into Groudon, and they come into Zacian. I will let this go. They throw the Wild Charge. I throw the Brave Bird, and then I'm going to look to dip into Xerneas. And I thought about whether or not they would come into Dialga. They were actually like triple weak to Xerneas, and they let me throw the Moonblast. Obviously, I could go into close combat, but I didn't want to debuff myself and actually get the attack fall, which is I think I got like 10% chance attack falls. I definitely had a lot of luck getting these moves off. So very fortunate for me. I would need 2 moves anyways to KO. So I go for the Moonblast, and then I immediately swap into Ho-Oh. And the opponent, I think they actually should have Fire Punched here. Because I think they would have been able to mud shot. No, actually, maybe the Fire Punch doesn't KO, but I don't think I would survive 2 more mud shots afterwards. So it's very fortunate for me that I decided to go for the Precious Blade. And this is extremely bait dependent ending. It's like 17 seconds to make it to 2 Iron Heads. Plus I get like 2 moves in, so like 16 seconds. But they can double bait and land the Precious Blade? Anyways, I have to make a call here. So I decide to call bait here. It's 2 shields, and I get the bait call, and they realize it's over here. There's not really too much they can do at that point in time. So really big call, fortunate call on my side, because I guess I could shield. It makes sense on the opponent's side because I could shield and still catch the move later on, but it would have been very difficult. They farmed to 100, so keeping track of the energy would have been really challenging there. Yeah, they would have been able to double bait and land the move, but I thought I could make it to a move on to Xerneas, which is why they come to Mewtwo. And I let this go. And I'm not too worried about Dialga, because I have 2 answers to Dialga. Throw the Iron Head. I'm not going to shield. Side Strike will KO me, so they farm up quite a bit of energy. I'm going to no shield and then look to farm down with Ho-Oh. I'm not going to shield. Not shield the first one, I should say. If they make it a 2, then it is what it is. Let this go. And then I'm going to farm down. Yeah, I thought they were going to come Kyogre here. They come Dialga. And I'm going to throw the Sacred Fire. No attack fall, but I'm going to be able to make it to the Brave Bird before them. And then I'm going to look to switch to Xerneas. And then they have their own Xerneas in the back. And so this is a very straightforward end game here. I'm up a shield. I still have a Ho-Oh. Unless they get like a bunch of attack falls, it's not really too interesting here. They can see how much the Moonblast does. Throw another Moonblast here, a shield here, and then just close combat them. So very straightforward end game. So we're not going to bore people with that particular matchup here. You can see the queue times are insane here. I waited so long for queue times just for... Okay, obviously terrible lead here, but you can see here that they actually didn't have a good answer to to Xerneas. So they actually throw the breaking swipe at me. And they come into with quick attack Zacian. So I throw the Moonblast. Doesn't KO. And they throw the Play Rough. So they just got to the Play Rough. I throw the Moonblast, which doesn't KO because I'm debuffed. So they're at 2 right now. And I think I KO in 2 Geomancies, which is actually no, they should have had the move there. They should be able to make the move. And they come into Heatran here and actually just blind throw the close combat because I'm not gonna survive a Dragon Tail anyways. And I throw the close combat. And that's very good for me. And they come into Rayquaza, and then they realize that this, well, honestly, I'm not sure the match is necessarily over there, but it was very favorable for me. I guess like all the Incinerates would add up damage versus the Heatran. But if I throw early, they could potentially farm down, and then maybe they would have been too low there. We're just going to fast forward to this final match here. And we're going to have Ho-Oh and 2 Rhyperior. And it's just such a disastrous lead. I stay if it's Mud Slap because I resist the Mud Slaps. And I throw the Sacred Fire. Then I try to switch here, hoping to bait out the... And they actually come into... Giratina, which is okay. And I actually get the attack fall here. But really, like, maybe I don't know. I can't shield this because they have a Rock Wrecker. Maybe I could have thrown here. I could have shielded. But this is really not too much play for me. I come into gonna farm down, get a little bit of energy. And then I only have one realistic play here, which is to call the Rock Wrecker bait, call the Breaking Swipe bait. But they just straight up Rock, which is super disastrous for me. And I let this go because I know this is gonna be a Breaking Swipe. I guess it could be a super powered, but luckily they're carrying Breaking Swipe, and they come into Lugia. And this Lugia just takes me out. Throw 2 Iron Heads to take both shields, but the game's going to be over anyways. So, anyways, had some fun with this team. Definitely had some play. Ho-Oh. Xerneas is super strong in the meta. I definitely recommend it. Dialga is always really safe. And Ho-Oh is a pretty decent lead. But definitely some matchups you have to watch out for. And it's pretty easy to catch against. But hopefully this video was helpful. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see everyone in the next video.